And of course, I'm drawing a lot from my experience. So I'll tell you a little bit more about me. Like Nicole said, I immigrated to New York City in 1998. I was 25 years old. At the time, I was the sales manager for a Spanish textile company selling, we called it elevated casual sportswear. And we worked with almost everybody in Seattle, Nordstrom, in LA, Levi's, The Gap, Guess in Los Angeles, in New York, Ralph Lauren, Club Monaco, you name them, pretty much we were working with them. I would say that at this time, so this was up until 2007, sustainability was not top of mind. Actually, we barely talked about it. Starting in 2007, I started my own business. I had clients, a small portfolio of textile companies from different parts of the world. I focused a lot on denims and on outdoors. So what's interesting with outdoors is really they've always been more advanced in approaching and developing sustainable alternatives. So that's a very interesting industry to look at. I was also the spokesperson for Genealogia. For those who don't know Genealogia, it's the world leader in garment finishing technologies and also in garment processing. It's everything that you do, for example, to wash denim or to do garment dyeing. Just as, for example, a parenthesis, Zara does a lot of garment dyeing. So I was their spokesperson, and again, I was meeting with all the brands, especially all the brands that had denim programs. More recently, I was a consultant to the Morocco Federation of Leather Goods and also to the Morocco Association of Apparel Manufacturers. So this is for the breadth of my experience. And now we're going to get started with the topic that interests us. And now we're going to look at some definitions. So here, for National Geographic's, sustainability, it is the practice of using natural resources responsibly today so that they are available for future generations tomorrow. From Aurora James, I feel that to be truly sustainable, we need to think about how we are treating the people we work with. We also define sustainability in terms of our community. The economic success of local creatives and businesses will create a ripple effect of positivity. That's why supporting our local small business community is as much a part of our definition of sustainability as the use of eco-friendly fabrics are. So we can observe here that the first definition from National Geographic defines sustainability as an environmental issue. This is how sustainability used to be defined in the early days. And this makes sense because really sustainability originates from the environmentalist movements of the 1970s. They actually bring a social dimension, right? For Aurora James to be sustainable, we must consider how we treat people. And for Tracy Rees, we need to consider the community we live in, and we need to consider the economic success of local businesses as well. She even says that this is as important as the use of eco-friendly fabric is. So these two add up, are a big departure to the way we were defining sustainability in the early days. So one issue that is specific to Bangladesh is illegal subcontracting. Illegal subcontracting is when a brand sends an order to a factory and that factory overflows the work to another factory that has not been audited and that oftentimes offers very, very poor working conditions. So obviously that's a problem that remains. So when we create excess gas, it gets trapped in the atmosphere and it ends up warming the earth. And that's what we call the greenhouse effect, right? The warming. The warming itself is what creates climate change. And I think it's an important distinction because not all catastrophic climate events are due to global warming, but global warming is creating a lot of the climate catastrophes that we're seeing, from flooding to droughts to fires. So how is the fashion industry contributing to global warming? I think we've seen that already, right? We talked about manufacturing, we talked about transportation. Now, how much? Well, we estimate that it's contributing 10% of global emissions today. But if we continue on this trajectory of always producing more and more garments, because we're consuming more garments, it will be 26% by 2050. The Greenpeace Detox campaign was launched in 2011. It was based on Greenpeace identifying 11 chemicals frequently used to make our clothes that contain toxins, carcinogens, and hormone disruptors. They should be banned, but they're not. So when Greenpeace launched this campaign, they have been mobilizing people all around the world to challenge major clothing brands to abandon the use of hazardous chemicals on their products and in their supply chain. Now, how did they challenge the brands? Well, they did it by staging spectacular events to shame them, literally. So again, a forceful, like they were saying earlier, a confrontational way to create change. I've actually seen in San Francisco, in front of the Levi's headquarters, when they had this big setup with foam all over the square in front of the headquarters. You just had like massive amounts of foam, and that created for a very embarrassing show for the Levi's people. So why is this important? Well, that's important because the way we consume clothes has everything to do with environmental impact and waste creation.